Hey beautiful people, this is your boy D Blancas for another video of online learning with geometry, right? So we're doing lesson number 2, making scale drawings using the ratio method. So that's what this is called, okay? The ratio method. So we're lesson 2, module 2. So what I want you to do is go ahead, take some time, and do this opening exercise. So it's asking you to describe what a dilation is. So go ahead, pause the video, see if you can answer it. Cool. So hopefully you came back, you answered it. For those of you that want to know what a dilation is, let's go over it. All right. So basically, a dilation is making, so I'm writing this down, make sure you do it too, is making an object larger or smaller according to the scale factor. Right, so hopefully you have that on there. So it's making an object larger or smaller according to the scale factor. All right, so let's give you a few examples if possible. So first things first is, let's say I gave you a scale factor of 3. I'm going to make the object larger or smaller. Good job if you said larger. All right. What if we do a scale factor of 1/2? Is the object going to be smaller or larger? Good job if you said smaller. All right. How about if we do it, if the scale factor is 5/2? Larger or smaller? Think about this. Keep thinking. Are you sure? Sure that's the right answer? Well, if you said larger, fantastic. That's the correct answer, right? Because 5/2 is bigger than 1. Right? 5/2 is bigger than 1. Excuse me. So that means that our image is just going to be larger. Cool. So that's what a dilation is. So let's go ahead and let's work on this example number 1. So what I want you to do is to go ahead, pause this video, and see if you can figure this out by yourself. If you notice, all the steps are written out. So please challenge yourself and figure this out by yourself. All right, so let's go over this together. Okay, so this is example number 1. If you notice right off the bat, our scale factor is going to be 1/2. So that means we're going to make this image, this pretty little house, we're going to make it smaller. The question is how? So hopefully you read the steps and you noticed that what they wanted us to do was, using center O, they wanted us to draw lines towards each vertex of this image of the house. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's start off with point D. So I'm just going to go ahead, connect, just like so. Let's just do it with one line first instead of all of them. Let's do this one at a time so you can see what's expected. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this, because you know me, I like to color code everything. It makes it easier to follow. And what they want us to do is to get this scale factor of 1/2, as seen up here in the pencil, by the pencil. All right. So we're going to do our perpendicular bisector, and we're going to bisect this segment, the one in green, we're going to bisect it in half. All right. So let's go ahead, grab your compass. So I'll give you a second to do that. All right, hopefully you grabbed it already. So here we go. So here's my compass. All right, notice how I have the center on the O and the radius on D. So what I'm going to do is make my markings. I don't need the full circle, just on top and then down here on the bottom. Just like so. All right, so hopefully you did that. Let me zoom out a bit so you can see everything. And now make D your center with O your radius. Make your mark right there. Your mark right here. So if you notice, I have two markings now. So I'm hoping this is review from lesson 1 and from module 1, but I'm marking it so you can see where everything is at. And then I'm gonna grab my ruler, my straight edge, from here to here. I'm not gonna connect the lines. You could if you wanted to, but I don't need that. I just need where it intersects, right there. So hopefully you see this marking that I'm making. All right, that's going to be my new D prime. So what you are going to do is this exact same process for each vertex. So we just did it for one. Now you have to do it for E, for C, for A, and for B. So let's do one more together. Let's do E. So I'm gonna go ahead, connect these. Oh, I know it's hard to see. There we go. Just like so. All right, let's give it a different color. Let's go with purple for this one. All right, so that's where it starts. And then using my protractor, my compass, I mean, same thing. O as your center. Make, what is that, E, your radius, about there. Make your mark down there. So on both the top and the bottom, make your mark, just like I did. All right, flip it, do it again. Boom. Just like so. All right, I'm just gonna mark these so they're color coded so you know which ones go with which, like so. And then I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna connect them because again, I don't need to connect the lines. I just need this part. That is my new E prime. Okay? So there you go. You gotta do that for C, do that for A, do that for B. So go ahead and do that. All right? Cool. Have fun. All right, so if you did everything correctly, right, this is what you should have gotten. So I color coded everything, but you saw how now the house is drawn over here and it's half the size. So all I did was find the half points of everything. So hopefully you did it correctly. If you didn't, ask us questions, but here's the work for that. All right? Now let's switch to example number, well, it says exercise number 1. But technically this is example number 2 for us. All right? So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. We're going to do a very similar process. The difference is now is that we have a scale of 3/4, right? It used to be 1/2, but now it's 3/4. Okay, so this is going to be way more difficult just because there's more steps involved. So let's figure out how we can do the 3/4, right? So I'm gonna draw right here on the bottom, right above example 2, just a line segment. Now, if I were to ask you to cut this into four equal parts, so I'm just going to write 4 equal parts. How would you do it? So go ahead, pause the video, see if you can figure it out. But how would you separate this line segment into 4 equal parts? So go ahead, pause it. Okay, so if you said, let's cut this in half, then let's cut this one in half, then let's cut this one in half, then you're correct, right? We need 3 of these. 1, 2, 3 for our 3/4, because that's our scale factor. So we need 3 of them, all right? So we're going to apply that concept for this image. So let's focus on one line first. All right, I'm gonna do O to G. So just like before, connect O to G. All right, so here you go, boom, O to G. So no problem, cool. So I'm gonna highlight this pink, so we know that's the one we're focusing on. And from there, just like we did in the segment, let's cut it in half. So what I'm going to do is at O, put this at G, all right? So there you go, you see how it's lined up. So let me zoom out a bit so you can see this better. Now I'm gonna make my mark. I'm gonna make it down here also. And then I'm gonna flip. So this part should be what we did already. Let me make those pink. All right, and then let's mark my bisector then. Let's mark the midpoint using those markings. So from here to about there. All right, that's my midpoint. But I don't want to cut it 1/2. I need 3/4. So I'm gonna cut this again. So my question is, do we cut this part in half? Do we bisect this half? Or do we bisect this half? All right, so I want you to think about this. Is 3/4 closer to 1? Or is 1/2 closer to 1? Right, if you said 3/4 is closer, yes. So our image is bigger because it's close to 1, so it has to be very close to our image, to the original image. So we're going to cut this half over here. Excuse me. So we're going to do this again. All right, now this is our center right there with our G. Make your little marking. Oh no, you jumped around. So down there, about there, switch it, so there, and there, all right? So we're cutting it again, cutting these two, and then let's just mark our center. Notice I'm using the same color, all right? So that's gonna go right here. This is where our new G prime is going to be. All right, that's our new G prime. Let me zoom in. This is 3/4 because there's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So that's 3/4 scale factor. All right, it's closer to the image, but you're gonna have to do this for every single line though, every single segment. All right, that's going to be extremely tough, but you can do it. Just stay organized one line at a time and use different colors. So you go ahead and do that. Awesome. Have fun. All right, now let's move on to example number 2. Okay, so for this one, we have a scale factor of 3. So we're going to make this image larger. So it's going to be bigger, all right? And you're going to see that making images larger is easier than making them smaller. Okay, so you can follow the steps, and I actually recommend to like pause it here and see if you can do steps 1, 2, and 3, and see if you can figure this out by yourself. If not, you can follow along. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is from O, I'm going to connect it with A. Now I'm just going to extend my line like so. All right, using my protractor, or my compass, I mean. I'm going to measure this up with O and A, just like that. So you see how they're measured? All right, then I'm going to make a marking. That's that first marking is the scale factor of 1. All right, that second marking, scale factor of 2. And now this third marking over here, that's a scale factor of 3. That's where my new A prime is going to be. And that's all you're going to do with every point. So let's work on point D right now. Let's extend this. All right, let's do O and D. So let me put this on O, measure it up with D. See if I can do it. Yeah, it's about there, right? So it's about there. So I'm just gonna angle this. Yep. So that's my first marking. So that's a scale of 1. Second marking, that's a scale of 2. And then my third marking, that's a scale of 3. So right here, my third mark, that's D prime. So that's all you're doing. Go ahead, do that for the remaining 2 points and connect your points to get your new dilated image. So go ahead and do that. Cool, if you did it correctly, your image should look very similar to mine. I even highlighted them in blue so you can see them better, all right? So those are there. So, your job now is to go ahead and try these exercises now, like 2 through 6. They'll challenge you a lot more, and to do the problem sets. So remember these that say problem sets on the top. These problem sets are these are the ones that are going to show up on the quiz. So I highly urge you to go ahead and practice these problem sets, or at least try them out. But if you're done with this and you get it, go ahead and do exit ticket for this lesson so that you can move on to the next lesson. All right, so if you don't have one, ask one from Ms. Chavarria or from myself, and we'll gladly give you one. But you can now move on to the next lesson until you do the exit ticket and you show it to us. We just want to make sure that you understand it. Cool. Just let us know if you have any questions. Good job. Take care. Peace out, Girl Scout.